Okay. I know. It hasn't been that long. Only a couple years. A couple uploads later. But we're finally here. Curb Your Clout Part 5. Let's get it.
Michael Phelps smoking weed, why can't I drink a beer?
It's a problem, but at the same time, it's not.
Somebody who thinks that he can take 10 days off to have fun, party, drink.
And I work my ass off.
Just stick around and fight on some of my undercards if you like.
Madonna all over Bruno again. Problem solved.
I would say all the way up to the early 2010s when it came to big prize fights during those fight weeks. There's always a huge media frenzy, lots of photos, videos, and a lot of taped interviews made from media outlets from all over the world. And once the event is over, that's pretty much it. If it wasn't recorded on VHS by someone, it's pretty much lost media. Now, I was on the old west side of the internet and I came across Japanese coverage of this fight week of Mike Tyson's rematch against WBC champion Frank Bruno. Imagine being a fan and a professional journalist of the sport in Japan, flying 16 hours to Las Vegas for this right here.
Any difference? What difference does it make? That's the
Being champion and make you a new man. New man. I feel so good being champion. I've waited 16 years to get where I am today.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to give it up that easily. My family, my wife, and my 2 kids are coming. And I feel so happy, so happy.
March 16th, what
March
should we
16th.
expect?
We expect you're going to see a new, still the heavyweight champion of the world. I saw, say Frank Bruno. And still, that's all I want to hear. And still.
Probably the most cringiest interview I've seen during a fight week. Old Frankie doing this entire interview in a stereotypical Asian accent.
Message for Japanese fans.
Japanese, I love you. I love your food, and I love your country, and I love your ghetto blasters. The Freakstam briefcase. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Outside of that, Bruno amped it up and gave his fair share of trash talking towards Tyson, claiming to many reporters he would end Tyson and knock him out of the ring onto Don King's lap.
That time I rocked him, I'm going to rock him to sleep. I hope Don King's got room in his lap. Right into Don King's. Hey, lap. Only in America. I hope Don King's getting his lap ready.
Only in America.
Which I'm going to knock him out, knock him right into Don King's lap. I'm going to do him a favour and knock him out right into Don King's lap. And I'm going to knock him right into Don King's lap. Sorry?
You flatly predict a knockout then?
Knockout right into Don King's lap. But I want to knock him out so good into Don King's lap and wipe him off the map.
While Tyson was very reserved towards Bruno, with well-selected words towards the champion.
Do you feel a need to win this fight explosively?
I'm gonna do a good job, and trust you, after this, you won't forget this for a long time. Okay. I'm in great shape, I'm fit, ferocious as ever, and I look forward to a good fight and being victorious and champion of the world. If he hurt me, I'm sure I hurt him more than he hurt me because I came out victorious.
In which the Simpsons had nailed it quite well in the Tatum versus Homer Simpson episode.
It's interesting that Mr. Bruno's talking very brave and courageous, but we'll see.
What about the fact that Mr. Bruno is out for revenge?
Well, that's good. That's good. I'm just, all praise be to God, I'm just happy that I'm having the opportunity to fight him for the title, and I look forward to doing well.
Bruno would do far worse than he did in comparison to the first fight. He had added 20 extra pounds since the first fight, which had not only slowed him down, but he was a lot more stiffer and robotic. Tyson, the much more faster fighter, would take apart the champion in 3 rounds. Before we get back to the video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell because a lot viewing is not subscribed. YouTube has shadow banned this page. It's a mess right now, where subscribers are not informed till days, weeks, or at times never that a new upload has dropped. Big shout out to everyone's efforts. My last upload, forcing them to expand the reach, but we still have a ways to go. I appreciate the support. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and let's get back to the video. Kambosos, who was the ice to Teofimo's fire, really matched Teofimo's energy when it came to promoting the fight and to the fight itself, resulting in a massive upset win. He would crank it up even more, leading to the Haney fight. One of the talks was, where will this fight happen? George had been fighting overseas for years now, and he has collected up all but one of the titles. He has a huge capital backing in Australia. The Australians want to throw on the biggest fight in a long time to remove that bad taste of that sham Green versus Mundine fight. Haney was not much of a sell at that given time, so not only Kambosos commanded the A side, but he was entitled to having the fight in Australia, in which if there is a rematch, the rematch would take place in Australia as well, just because Haney's lack of audience. So this is when things turned for Kamboso. Bill Haney, Devin Haney's father and head trainer, due to his past history going to prison, he was having some serious issues with getting a visa to enter Australia. So that would mean second in command, Yoel Judah, will be the head coach in Haney's corner. Kambosos fueled fire to the flames, stating there's no excuse when they are fighting on Saturday. Supposedly, George in the weigh-in would purposely come in overweight, then hours later come in on weight and state that Alright, now immigration is just looking at what's on paper. They may not be aware that this is one of the biggest sporting events in Australia at this given time. Who knows? So there was not a proper vetting process on Bill Haney's case of having a visa granted. Immigration took another look and took a very late look at that and approved Bill for a visa very late. So this was pretty much freaking Goku arriving from Snake's Way to be taken to the Earth realm by Kami, then rushed on flying Nimbus to where the Z fighters were getting murked by Vegeta and Nappa. Bill would arrive very late, however, just on time for the fight. Despite all the efforts to have every mental advantage, Haney would outclass Kambosos and win very convincingly on the scorecards to become the undisputed champion. He would follow up and beat Kambosos even more convincingly in their rematch by a wide margin to end their rivalry. Not much context needed. Big Baby Miller became one of the most hated people in boxing through his usage of PEDs, which was some seriously heavy stuff he was using. He received a heavy suspension in 2019 after not once but twice being caught using PEDs. He didn't make a return to the ring till June of 2022, where he looked like a shell of himself, sitting at 341 pounds. At his peak PED shape, he was at a bulked up and toned 315 pounds. After some months after his comeback, he trimmed down to the 330s, where he still looked nowhere near he was when he was at 315. So it really goes to show you how much that affected his physical appearance and performance. Miller was immediately put in place for the heavyweight title picture against former contender Boxing's Nice Guy Daniel Dubois, where the press conference was met by the usual trash talk of Miller. However, Daniel would do his best to match Miller, which he received praise for making an attempt.
Every baby has a daddy, and I'm gonna beat you like I'm your daddy. Hey! What's up? I don't know what card they to read that on, but I'm happy you did it.
When it came to the weigh-in, Daniel wasn't even saying anything to Miller during the face-off. Miller was doing all the talking, and since Daniel wasn't paying Miller any mind, he decided to push him to end the face-off.
He's goading him now, you see, Baby Miller, trying to get into his head, because that can knock, oh, there you go. So this can affect the way boxers are.
On fight day, Daniel would control the fight and outclass Miller. Way up on the cards in the final round, Miller would begin to taunt Daniel after getting cracked big. Miller continuing to taunt Daniel as he begins to land freely. You would think Miller is trying to be sneaky and throw a home run Daniel doesn't see, but he doesn't do any of that. Instead, drops his guard and runs right into Daniel's shot, which this time sent him to the ropes. However, he continues to taunt him without throwing any punches. The next cracking shot would once again send him to the ropes, this time having an effect where Dubois will get the TKO victory, resulting in Miller's first defeat.
26 seconds to go! Dubois giving Big Baby Miller a Brooklyn beatdown against the ropes. Oh, big shot! Big Baby! Dubois! Sensational
My first memory of Blair the Flair Cobbs was the Canelo Kovalev fight week, the final press conference dedicated to the undercards. These press conferences are held in the morning. They're very boring if you've been to many. You get the same generic lines, responses to questions asked. The press, for the most part, was half asleep when this was starting, till Blair had came out of absolutely nowhere, which woke everyone up, including myself. Now, there was heavy attention trying to promote the Ryan versus Duno fight. They had a Max Kellerman style face-off, and it looked like Ryan was going to unleash something new or do something hyped up to promote the fight, and Blair just stole that from him and then followed up to do another monologue that would steal the entirety of the presser that got an applause.
I am the most exciting man in boxing today. Why are you the most exciting? Because it doesn't matter who you put me in there with, you're going to see an exciting fight every time out. Knockouts, drag-out wars. You're going to see blood. You're going to see action. You're going to see tears. You're going to see somebody that's going to hate me, and people that love me and the people that hate me are going to raise up. They're going to rise and give a great applause. Yeah. Words from the great one. Blair the Flair Cobbs.
Then later on, he will also be interacting with Sinisa during her promo with Esparza, which that fight itself deserves to be on this list.
She's disrespectful. She's just a nasty person with a nasty attitude. And that's true, yeah.
So Blair was in full character mode, calling out a lot of guys for quite a while. Some guys where he shouldn't have been calling out. However, he finally got his shot to face Alexis Rocha. Blair, after being on the shelf, was finally given the red carpet treatment, and he was going after everybody.
He's not stronger than Blair the Flair. Is he fast? He's not faster than Blair the Flair. Is he smart? He's not smarter than Blair the Flair. So he's in there with an elite athlete, and let's see if he can be in that fire with me.
What happens in the fight?
He gets his ass whooped, period.
Which he went after Ennis, Errol Spence Jr., which Errol will call him a 33-year-old prospect.
I see what he is, and he can't hide from the great one. And that's what I got to say about that.
When it came to the actual promotion to the Rocha fight, Blair went all out attacking Rocha. The closer to the press conference being one for the books.
I ain't going nowhere. There ain't no running, ain't no hiding, there ain't no pity pat shots, because I'm great and I'm born for it, baby. I'll show you everything I got because I've been ready. Come from the streets of Mexico, what you think I got?
And on Saturday, Alexis Rocha.
Cobbs would have a spirited effort. Despite losing, he was still talking to Rocha, taunting him every chance he had, which led to some exciting exchanges.
He just missed with the left hand over the top. Oh, big left hand connects the Brook down. Or Cobbs starting on.
Losing a lot of energy moving to
Cobbs. Big left hand connects from Cobbs. That's the best shot of the fight. Cobbs was landed in another one.
Rocha would finally break through, catch Cobbs in the 8th round, which led to an easily preventable knockdown that did real damage to Cobbs, to where he barely survived the round.
Changing this fight as well.
So is Rocha, who connects on a big right hook.
Cobbs is hurt. Cobbs is hurt.
Rocha would take over in the 9th and get the TKO victory.
Nearly caught up in the ropes. The mouthpiece is out, and Rocha is all over it. That is it.
Now this is the biggest question. If Blair is a true fan of wrestling and embodying the whole Flair persona, the villain persona, no matter what happens, these guys will stay in character. And to Blair's credit, he did remain in character while giving the proper credit to Rocha.
You know, and we had a great sparring, and
what happened?
You know what happened. Come on, Kel.
What happened?
Kel, I used to box Kel all around the ring, and I'm not gonna lie to you.
This was a fight that was held off for so long. Kell Brook became the IBF champion in 2014 when he defeated Sean Porter. Since then, fight fans and media was fixated on this matchup. However, as it had huge prospects of becoming bigger than Froch vs. Groves 2, Khan believed he was bigger than Brook, stating that Brook needs me to make the big dollars, all while Khan is trying to chase a Mayweather fight despite not really doing anything to earn the Floyd fight, as Floyd had many options. Khan was in the most stacked stable of fighters under Showtime Golden Boy Al Heyman. However, he could not get the fights to even have the massive public demand to pressure a Floyd fight. Khan finally has an outsider with a title belt. He can fight in a record-breaking match in the UK and have a great chance of setting a fight against Floyd Mayweather for the undisputed title if he were to have paid the sanctioning fees leading up to or after the Pacquiao fight. However, this doesn't happen. Ego and entitlement made Khan believe he's next in line when Floyd will go on to beat Pacquiao, with Floyd to announce he will be fighting Berto. When asked about Brook and Khan being opponents, he stated they are not suitable opponents and Berto is a bigger name among casual audiences. Fast forward, both end up losing and both end up losing bad against Terrence Crawford. Brook looking to have taken the most damage since this matchup was first in talks. Brook, almost 3 years out of the ring to Khan's 2 years, would be finally fighting each other in February 2022, billed as their final fight. This fight selling out in 20 minutes. The build-up was filled with mostly he said, however, whoever's fault it is, someone's getting curbed. Due to Brook not looking like Special K since the Golovkin fight and Khan looking better by comparison over the years, Khan will open up as the 2-1 favorite to win. Khan had some drama which almost resulted in the fight getting canceled. He was complaining about the gloves he had already agreed on, the agreed contract that there would be no horsehair gloves, which Brook's gloves supposedly had horsehair. After a back and forth to where if Brook didn't change the gloves, he wouldn't get paid, this would be resolved and the gloves were changed. You can see from the opening bell, this was a fight Brook really wanted ever since the day Khan joked about schooling him when he was younger on ringside.
And I used to school Kel in the ring.
I've never been schooled ever.
Yo, come on, Kel.
Have you schooled me?
Okay, when the day, look, if he beats Bradley, I'll fight the winner Bradley and Kel Brook.
You always say stuff. You said that about Matthew White and you said fight Matthew White and then fight me.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. But listen, if I fought you, I will knock you out.
It's in the middle. Brook gives Khan the wobbly legs in the first round and wins the first big. Khan is the king at winning the first round as he is a fast starter. If he's looking this off at the opening bell, that's a bad sign. Khan would rebound and have his moments, and once Khan does the usual Khan cruise control mode, Brook would win the 5th round. Right at the bell, Brook would land his signature stiff jab that would hurt Khan. Due to Khan not throwing any shots, the ref had seen enough and waved the fight off. This is 2 curved clouts for the price of 1 here, or 3, depending how you look at it. For a long time during Khan's campaign to getting a Floyd fight, he was calling Floyd a drug cheat and claiming he was taking PEDs. Well, fast forward to the incredibly late test results. Khan was caught with Osterine in his system, which resulted in a 2-year suspension. The amount found in his system was 0.5, which is a grain of salt in a Olympic-sized swimming pool. Ryan Garcia, who was tested for the same substance, had 6, which is also a small amount found in this system. However, I'll leave this up to the viewer. Did they knowingly take this substance, or this is a result of supplement contamination, which is a common issue when a company that makes supplements does not have an in-house mixing vat and has a third-party company, sometimes overseas, do it for them. What do you think? Leave it in the comments. In 2019, Ishmael Barroso earned his spot for title contention fair and square. He was put off and shelved till 2023 when he finally got his shot to face Rolando Romero for the WBA title. Casual audiences who were unaware that Barroso's rightfully earned his position was met with laughs and many joking about his physical appearance, making him look much older than what was advertised. Ahar Davies, who is campaigning for a title shot after going on a win streak after getting into title contention, beating Louis Riston. Davies putting out this tweet right here, which if anyone who would have the knowledge of Barroso's, it would be Davies, since Barroso's had 2 high-profile fights in the UK with a 1-1 record. Davies should know better, but he's back on that 2017 clout chasing. Ishmael would shock many and earn the respect of casual fans as he drops Romero and gives him a run for his money. The fight will come to a halt in the 9th round, resulting in a controversial TKO stoppage win for Romero. This was met with huge backlash from the fans. Instead of granting an immediate rematch, the WBA just waited for everyone to forget and move on to something else, which doesn't take much time these days, and they made Ishmael fight Ahar Davies for the WBA interim title. So now Davies has to fight the guy he was clowning like he didn't deserve a title shot. UK fighters of the past years have had some of the worst luck in their US debut, and this would be no different. Ishmael would make easy work putting Ahar Davies away in the first round to become the WBA interim champion. In which he would not get his rematch he was entitled to. Even though the right guy won, the right guy politically didn't win. Another 2 curb clouts for the price of 1 special, straight from the farmer's market here. As discussed in my When Boxers Lose Their O Part 7 from 2023, I have been covering the lower weight classes and promoting the Asian Pacific region of boxing since the life of this channel in 2011, and over my decade of coverage, I have never seen so much genuine hate, excuses, and downplay towards fighters from these regions. It's always been the same excuse, really. He's okay, that's not real sweet science, but he needs to come over and fight our guys. And I'm wondering to myself, at that time, a lot of the guys were in light fly and flyweight. Who are these guys you were speaking of? Because there hasn't been an American in the top 10 ranks from strawweight to flyweight in ages, or never in the modern era. I first started showing Inoue when he became light flyweight champ in 2014 and had been following him since his pro debut thanks to one of my sources. I thought his move up from light fly, skipping flyweight to super fly was insane. I couldn't imagine him doing all this in bantamweight. So fast forward to 2019, Inoue finally gets his recognition from the Western world, and after the pandemic ended, he finally unifies the division where there is only 1 more belt left to become undisputed. All while this is happening, finally a fighter pops up that is immediately propped up by those who, for some reason, really hate Inoue for getting just a little schmeckle of Western attention and recognition, claiming that Inoue, the unified bantamweight champion, is ducking Stephen Fulton, the WBC WBO champion at super bantamweight. The social media grifters, race baiters, and race hustlers did not care at all Inoue was aiming to be undisputed, did not care at all Fulton wasn't going after other title holders in the weight class for him to become undisputed. They were promoting that Inoue was overrated and he was ducking Fulton. Inoue will become Japan's first undisputed champion since the 3-belt era started in the 80s because they were barred from fighting for the IBF and WBO titles till January of 2013. Now, I'm not going to give these pages a spotlight. You know who they are. These guys turn an absolutely great matchup between East and West, US versus Japan, and made it into an incredibly toxic battle of races, with some of the most outrageous claims that Inoue is afraid of fighting black fighters, he's never fought someone with the sweet science. To make things worse, Team Fulton was accusing Inoue of loading their gloves with illegal wraps, which these grifters ran with it without providing any such context to where these wraps were the root of his power. The JBC is one of the most strict commissions in the world. When you break rules, they will throw the book at you, no matter who you are. Inoue's team followed the rules of the JBC when it comes to hand wraps, which the same technique of wraps is allowed in Nevada, a state that Fulton had fought in recently in his unification. This was just pre-fight theatrics to play mental games just before fight day, as everything would go as planned. To Fulton's credit, he did have a moment here and there. 5th round worth noting. After that, it was all Inoue delivering his best performance to brutally knock out Fulton in the 8th round to pick up both titles. The grift media went radio silent, started blocking people for calling them out, and they swiftly went on to the next grift. While these pages had completely abandoned Fulton because they were promoting him for all the wrong reasons as is hopeful,
they alienated Bud Crawford. Is it going to be Errol Spence? I see Errol Spence, he entertained some of it, you know, but people are now saying how long is Errol Spence going to be left? But don't get it twisted. They will try to eat off Errol Spence, you know, as much as they can before he retires, because they need another guy. They got to keep the money train going, and it's got to be racially motivated.
In an wholesome ending to this, Fulton actually did enough to make a lot of new fans in Japan. To Fulton's shock in his comeback fight, which was not even the undercard, it was the prelims, due to a high enough demand, Japanese TV network bought the airing rights to show his comeback fight in Japan. Fulton would express how surprised he was that he made fans out there, with many Japanese fight fans on Twitter giving the former champion a lot of love and genuine support for his return to the ring. This one being the most wholesome, this Twitter user not only stating his support but also showing a photo of himself giving Steven a fist bump in support after his loss against Inoue. Terrence Crawford was once good friends with Jermell Charlo, but when Terrence had moved up in weight class to welterweight, Jermell would begin to distance himself from Crawford, and since Jermell was part of Errol's camp and also part of a different network stable, he would find every time leading up to the Crawford-Spence build-up to bash him.
PBC game, y'all know it used to be back in the days, the other promoters, y'all know who's running boxing right now. Man, y'all come on, man, don't be stupid and slow. Y'all know who the main man in the boxing world. Y'all know who paying the big checks. Y'all know who getting the Al Heyman checks. He ain't on my mind, he ain't on my radar. He ain't on nothing. He don't matter to me. He don't matter to Earl. We ain't worried about no damn Terrence Crawford. We ain't waiting on him.
Terrence, who's a real one, would not tolerate this fake behavior and would have plans to someday go after Jermell.
He's a groupie. You know what I mean? Like when I moved up in weight, and soon as I called out Spence, and he acted like that was his fiance or something. You know, he felt as if Earl couldn't speak for herself. He was, you too little, and Lions, and it's Texas, and this and that. Boy, you from Lafayette, Louisiana.
This time would finally come after Errol Spence Jr. would collect all the belts locked up within the PBC Showtime stable. Crawford, now free from his promotion, was able to pursue an undisputed unification with Spence Jr. When Crawford had the fight in the bag after dropping Spence, he would go over to the ropes and call out Charlo. NBA All-Star James Harden would ask Charlo, "Are y'all in the same weight class?" Charlo would downplay the situation, saying he doesn't know what Crawford is talking about. He's fighting Canelo next. He's undisputed at 154, and he's already did that. Which, you wonder, did what? Become undisputed in 2 different weight classes? Something that Charlo is attempting to achieve. Then he claims that Crawford is not on his level.
Nah, my weight class. Bro, I fight Canelo next. I don't know what they're talking about. I'm undisputed at 154. I already did that.
Crawford stopped Spence the following round to become undisputed in 2 different weight classes. Now, Terrence is waiting for the results of the Canelo fight with Charlo. To be honest, I don't know what Charlo did in camp. He came in pretty much at walking weight. He looked much slower and put up an absolutely terrible show against Canelo, mostly fighting to survive and pulling his shots. From casual onlookers, it just looked like he was here for a payday. Charlo had a chance to redeem himself in the final 4 rounds. My opinion, he's one of the best finishers in the sport. He is very impressive when it comes to closing a fight. However, we did not see any of that, and Canelo will win wide on the scorecards. Due to this horrible performance, Crawford wanted nothing to do with Charlo. Charlo in the following months would vacate the IBF title for not wanting to fight as mandatory, get stripped by the WBA, than the WBC after being arrested. He was named champ in recess by the WBA following the strip, and Charlo tried to sabotage Crawford's fight against Madrimov for the WBA title by activating his champ in recess status, really a status that should have never been given to him in the first place. However, the WBA finally doing the right thing, knowing this was just a political stunt by Charlo to grasp at whatever relevancy he has in the weight class, and rejected Charlo's claim and let the Crawford fight go on, especially since this man was behind the event. This left Jermell with pretty much nothing. He's not even in the top ranks no more, which will require him to start back at square one to earn a title shot. His stock was destroyed due to the Spence versus Bud build-up, followed by the poor Canelo show and embarrassing post-fight interview.
You know, hey, I want to fight Terrence Crawford. I can fight Terrence Crawford at my weight division. Let him fight Earl Spence or whatever they got going on. Get that out the way. I'm waiting. I'm about to get back right in training. Tell him don't worry about it.
The IBF mandatory he ducked, now champion Bakram, probably won't fight him since he's not the mandatory. All there is Fundura, which why would he want to fight him either, when he can unify against Bakram, and the winner can go on to fight Crawford for a huge purse and an undisputed unification. So homeboy played himself out right there. Just want to throw in Jermell's trainer, Derek James. He had possibly the worst 2023 out of all the blue chip trainers in the sport, and this meme that someone had posted to recap that year couldn't have been any more savage. The UK has had absolutely some of the worst luck when it comes to fighting fighters from Mexico. This can be traced all the way back to possibly its origin in 1976 when WBC champion John H. Stracey's handlers cherry-picked an unknown fighter from Mexico by the name of Carlos Palomino. Carlos would avenge fellow national and legend Jose Napales by embarrassing the champion John in his backyard of England to bring the title back to Mexico. This photo here just says it all. Since then, you can say John Detroit Lions cursed an entire region for years to come. Fast forward to 2022, Lee Wood is on top of the world after his biggest win against Michael Conlon. He was set to face once unknown fighter from Mexico, Mauricio Lara. Lara had went on to travel to the UK and deliver a huge upset against the 30-0 Josh Warrington. They would have a rematch and it would end in a technical draw due to a cut by a headbutt. This would be Lara's third trip out to the UK, and the promotion leading up to this fight, Wood met up with Warrington and said to him he will clean up his Mexican mess because Lara is the only man in the way of them having a sellout prize fight against each other.
Hey, I'm going to clear up this mess you made with this Mexican. Listen. And then we're going to have it here. And we're going to have it here.
With Wood looking ahead in the future of a big fight, was not in the zone for what was in front of him, which was Lara. Wood would score plenty, but so would Lara as well, who was taking whatever Wood would throw at him during a good Wood round. In the 7th, there would be a lapse by Wood where he went with a very lazy feint that Lara did not bite on, just for Lara to connect way before Wood could, which sent him to the canvas. Wood would make the count, however his corner threw in the towel, resulting in a TKO victory for Lara.
Very much still there. Dying seconds at the 7th round. Can Lara finish it here now? Barely 10 seconds to go, and the towel comes in from Ben Davison.
Okay, this is a lot to unpack here. After a year of campaigning, getting into title contention, winning the IBF title, and being in line to unify against Vasyl Lomachenko, Lopez would defy the odds and beat Vasyl to become unified champion. Lopez was currently in the middle of a contract restructure with Top Rank. He also had to finally defend his title against IBF mandatory George Kambosos. With many issues with coming up with a purse from Top Rank for this fight, Triller would swoop in out of nowhere and win the purse bid by a landslide of $6 million, where Lopez will be earning the lion's share of $3.9 million. The second to the highest bid was Eddie Hearn with $3.5 million.
$200,000. Therefore goes to $100 million. Mr. Peter Griffin for an astonishing $100 million.
The fight would go through. There would be a big promotional push where Kambosos was just much as a talker than Teofimo.
I'm gonna tell you something, my man. You are gonna be a f***ing example on why I'm gonna put everybody on their ass. And you know what? I'm gonna put my foot up your neck, my dude.
I'm taking all your belts.
All right,
all
wait,
your
shit.
belts.
Yo, you should be thanking me, my guy. You should be thanking me.
You should be thanking me.
You should be thanking me. You should be thanking me. Undisputed lightweight world champion.
Who knows what was going on in Teofimo's camp? Maybe they thought they were going to get more money from Top Rank as the ESPN Top Rank deal was about to expire after 4 years. And if a new deal is made, given the stable they have, these fighters will see a lot of money in their next fights because Disney owns 80% of ESPN and they have an endless budget to waste. Build up to this event was an absolute train wreck, which I will read you the CBS News timeline report. June 5th was the original date for the fight, which was pushed to avoid having to share the weekend with the Logan Paul versus Mayweather fight. June 19 was the second official date, which was postponed because Lopez tested positive for COVID. August 14th was another official date, which was later changed by discretion of the promoters. In September, it was not really an official date. However, in October, they had various dates and locations, including with Triller attempting to hold the event in Australia as a punishment for Lopez costing the promotion a lot of money because of his COVID diagnosis and some things behind the scenes. The IBF stepped in to prevent this from happening. And now we have the October 4th date, which they tried changing it to October 5th, only for them to realize it conflicted with the Yankees versus Red Sox playoff game. After moving the fight to Monday during the NFL season, they realized it conflicted with the Monday Night Football game. This is... October 16th was the final attempt, and Kambosos never agreed on it, which led to Kambosos attempting to have Triller held in default. This would ultimately happen, and Eddie Hearn and DAZN would pick this match up for a huge discount. All while all this confusion is happening, Teofimo is rumored to have been living it up Macho Man Camacho style, partying and drinking, which the B-side Kambosos is absolutely livid about it.
Kid's not focused. He's distracted like crazy. He's missing sessions left, right, and center. 2 weeks ago, he's out partying and drinking, and then, you know, it was a family celebration. Okay, but think about what I've had to miss out from my family, the celebrations I've had to miss out. Now, there's going to be a lot of excuses. I see it. I know there's going to be a lot of excuses after this fight. The COVID, he's got asthma, his lungs. There's going to be a lot of excuses, but, you know, I'm just focused on what I got to do.
This fight is finally made for November 27th. The final press conference, Angel Garcia 2.0, aka Teofimo's dad, will make a bold prediction Teofimo would deliver the knockout of the year and claim that Kambosos would be forgotten.
At the end of the day, you know, these people are going to be forgotten. Little Chihuahua. You're going to be forgotten. You're going to be forgotten, bro. Ooh, little Chihuahua. One day wonder. One day wonder.
You're a
baby.
very lucky man.
Nobody gonna know your name after this fight.
You're a clown. You're the world's clown,
bro.
The world is laughing at you.
No more, bro.
Well, the fight, George Kambosos will make a statement, knocking Teofimo down in the first round.
With his opponent.
Oh! What a right hand from George Kambosos, and the takeover went down! That's what happens when you go.
Teofimo will rebound, however George would take over the middle round, stacking up a lead. Teofimo would tighten things up in the 10th round, tying up the knockdown count. George would clearly bag in the 11th, both guys finishing strong. However, George would end the takeover, winning by a narrow split decision to become the unified champion. In part 4 of this series, I stated someone is getting curbed when that third fight happens, as I had covered the build-up by the time May of 2021 came around.
This here is unresolved, and whoever wins the third fight, 100% their clout is curbed.
The press conference of the third fight was met with Fury and Wilder's trainer doing all the talking. Wilder trying to pull off a Marshawn Lynch, not saying any words during the whole press conference. However, the original is always going to be better because Marshawn is a real character.
All of my requirements are fulfilled. So now for this next 3 minutes, I'll just be looking at y'all the way that y'all looking at me. Thank you.
You know, yesterday...
Y'all got 2 more minutes to look at me.
After Wilder had came up with some of the most outrageous claims from the second fight, he was given the privilege of not having to answer to Fury face to face, nor the press. When it came to the final press conference, this time Wilder would have to talk, despite given more than enough time to concoct a script where he can defend and attack Fury.
If I only won because I cheated, why do all this extra training? Because obviously you can beat me with the old training you was doing, as long as I didn't cheat.
So ask yourself that question.
You got to ask yourself the question. If I've done all this cheating,
I see nervous energy.
Yeah, then why has he not prepared himself? He hasn't done any extra steps at all to stop me from cheating again.
Why you explain yourself?
Wilder is just claiming things of Fury that he himself is a product of.
You don't even want certain media in here to give you the tough questions. You have nobody to give you the tough questions.
Wilder has always been given overly positive coverage. If not, there would have been an actual push and pressure for the undisputed Klitschko unification, which was met with crickets and the media protecting him. The one analyst that questioned his privileged reign and constructively criticized him got fired. You're either 100% for him or you're a hater and a racist. The press conference would end without a face-off due to the bad blood between the two. Despite Wilder getting dropped in the third round, he would come in heavier but better conditioned and put up a better show, coming back and dropping Fury twice and almost getting him out of there in the fourth round. Wilder expending a lot of energy would begin to fade and Fury would begin to take over after getting the knockdown in the 10th. It was in due time, and Fury would send Wilder to the Shadow Realm in the 11th round. Due to Wilder's entitlement and ego of not allowing the historic Joshua Fury fight to take place for Undisputed, when more than likely he would have had first dibs to fight the winner on a larger scale, on a larger stage. This loss put him in a place he had the high privilege of not having to go through, which was fighting hungry, skillful, regional, world-class fighters to properly get into title contention. Compared to the overseas circuit where you had much more tougher competition to be in place for a title shot. Shannon Briggs even stating this in his confrontation with Wilder that they gave you the title.
Two-time heavyweight champion of the world. I don't give a I'm the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. You always gave you that belt. But you always I'm the real-ass heavyweight champion.
Because after Vitaly Klitschko had retired, the title grab for his belt was one of the most lousiest and weakest in the history of the weight class. Fought between Ray Alston, a guy Vladimir disposed so easily. He would be up against Bermane Stiverne for the #1 spot. Bermane barely managed to win. He goes on to fight Chris Arreola, a guy Vitaly had completely outclassed, where Bermane would become the WBC champion.
Once that fight is done and one of those fighters has the WBC belt, if Klitschko will not immediately want to do a search to go and get it back, because that's the belt that was vacated by his brother.
Bryant Jennings, who was one of the most talented coming up, will become the WBC mandatory after defeating Mike Perez in their finals. However, Wilder would earn the title shot over Jennings after a highly controversial victory over his friend and now trainer Malik Scott, where many believe Malik took a dive.
The feeling out hook, now seriously, part of that punch landed, but it bounced off the glove, and some of the fans are actually booing when they look at the...
I mean, I'm just gonna leave this here. I mean, this is comedy right here. He earned a title because of that. That is, boy. Wilder will become champ. As stated before, Vladimir was the first guy to call out Wilder, which was met with crickets and no pressure to set up an undisputed unification. You reverse the roles here. Klitschko would have been torched by the press, especially after the excuses made by Shelly Finkel to why the fight won't happen. I mean, he literally said that Wilder is just a baby when he won the world title, and you don't take D1 college athletes, throw them in the pros. Like, if that is the case, he shouldn't have a title. You should be putting him against guys to have him ready for the title shot, not give the man a title where you're just going to be throwing these randos at him and avoiding actual competition. Instead of the Klitschko fight, we will see Eric Molina magically move up from the top 30 ranks to the top 10 ranks and a matter of an announcement that he was in the picture to fight Wilder. Not guaranteed he was fighting Wilder, in the picture of fighting him. Let that be a pattern to how his reign was outside the make or break Ortiz fight. Andre Ward, during the undercard of the third fight's broadcast, going out on his shield saying if Wilder loses, I think we really need to start questioning his reign as champion. So with all that being said, Wilder is now forced to fight guys that the other side of the media had put down, discredited for years, and well, guess what? He loses to Joseph Parker and very embarrassingly to Zhang.
NGQ, doing what I do, all white, looking nice, okay, come through.
I don't know if Ryan Garcia is taking the fight serious or not.
Okay, someone is getting curbed in this fight. It don't matter who, someone is. This is a 50-50 thing here. You had an equal amount of trash talking and clout chasing from the two.
Bro, it would be funny if I knock you out with a right hand. How hilarious that would be. He only has a left hook.
It would be funnier if I knock you out with a left hook.
That would be
What if I knock you out with a left hook?
That would be comedy. I'm not gonna lie.
Hilarious, right?
I might make a reel about it.
Haney was winning that battle in the first half. However, when the Sean Diddy Combs news broke out, Ryan had some massive weaponry to use against Haney. From a not-so-old post with an horribly aged caption of Haney with Diddy at one of Diddy's parties, Haney had no real way of coming back from that. So many sus clips of Diddy was resurfacing with how he was weird towards Gervonta Davis, trying to pick him up like some girl he haven't seen in a long time. That talk show video with him and Mike Tyson where he made Mike incredibly uncomfortable. Mike of all people being uncomfortable, like only a guy like Diddy would do that.
He's about to bench him, as we see. Oh yes, he's glittering. It's chilling.
To make things worse, almost every Diddy video you would see on social media about his case, you would see a cutout of him from that infamous pool party photo with Devin Haney that he posted on Instagram. Devin Haney came in overconfident that Ryan would be a cakewalk because of his outer ring issues, unchecked mental problems, and more. He didn't believe Ryan had heart, constantly labeled him something I wouldn't call any fighter, personally, a quitter numerous times. Which, that's just adding fuel to the fire, because you saying that mentally affects the fighter in a positive sense, because they're going to do things if it means being damaged for life to prove elsewise. Combined with someone to be rumored with mental problems that had to receive a psychological evaluation by the commission.
And I'm louder than that whole team. They got like 5 people there. Look how loud. Woo!
This is going to be a long night for Haney. I was already not rooting for Haney to coming in. When I heard him coming out to that whack-ass, overplayed TikTok song, I was rooting even more against him. You could have chosen any song, but you chose some trendy, overplayed trash. Hell, I was rooting for Ryan against Davis. But when Davis came out to an alternate version of Chief Keef Sosa with Chief Keef performing, I was hyped. I don't know. I forgot who I was rooting for. I can see why more people prefer Davis over Haney. One doesn't follow trends, doesn't force a character, and the other doesn't know what the hell they want to be. So everything comes off forced and inauthentic. Pimp C really said it best.
And I'm going to say it again. If you a cartoon character on your first album, you need to be a cartoon character on your last. Because the way we start is the way we going to finish.
Man, I got hella sidetracked here. Anyways, Haney did not fight the fight I was expecting. He was headhunting a lot. He was not throwing that stiff jab to the body to set up counters and leads upstairs. It was a very unintelligent fight coming in by a guy who had one of the highest ring intelligence in the game. Due to this, it gave Ryan so many opportunities to do what he does best, which Haney could not avoid to save his life, is that left hook. One of the most one-dimensional, overused weapons in Ryan's limited offense that previous Ryan opponents had success neutralizing. However, Haney had no answer. Right when Haney is back in the fight on points, Ryan would crack him with the left and get back into the fight. Haney would get dropped in the 7th round. After catching up, would get dropped again in the 10th and the 11th. which would just barely seal Ryan on the scorecards to pull off the massive upset, making it Haney's first loss on his resume, officially, then later unofficially. Now, in the following events to take place, Ryan would test positive for a banned substance, Ostarine. Now, his claim is it came from tainted supplements, which there is some validity to that statement. A lot of these supplements you buy from your GNCs or off Amazon, you run risk of having cross-contamination if you're not producing these supplements in-house or from a reputable outhouse facility. The company, from my memory, released a statement claiming elsewise. However, this article from the end of May stating the test made on the supplements with the results showing that there are trace amounts of this banned substance that Ryan tests positive for in the supplement, roughly around the same amount that was in Ryan's system upon the test. However, this isn't the first case and it won't be the last. The fighter and his team is definitely responsible for not having these supplements tested or purchased through a company who mixes all their supplements in-house or by a reputable outhouse company like Snacks Products, the people Haney is with. So this fight will be ruled a no contest, which I'm not batting an eye about. I did wish the WBC did the same thing when it came to the Neary fight, where Neary was actually taking this banned substance to cut weight. So here's a moment character-wise. Haney can really win over casual audiences. He could have went the Miguel Cotto route, paint Ryan as a villain, and you would had a massive promotion for the rematch. And if Haney would win, his popularity would shoot through the roof. Instead, Haney went a route no other fighter has done, was to go sue Ryan for battery and fraud. This was met with mostly disgust, with many in disagreement with such acts taking place, thus killing Haney's stock, especially when a month before him issuing the lawsuit and his entourage was on tape assaulting a heckler at a county fair. Haney threw a sucker punch shot and missed while the rando was distracted. He gets clocked by one of Haney's goons, which they began to jump him. Even that was an L because the heckler came out unscathed from the altercation. So even Haney's goons don't have respectable punching power. Then the nail in the coffin, which came out on Xmas Eve, was Haney's wife and young thug. To be honest, I can't really name a boxer who's had any worse of a year than Devin Haney. With the latest news stating that there will be a 2025 comeback, it will be very interesting what we'll see in this anime arc of his career. And on top of that, this is Curb Your Clout in Boxing Part 5. For more installments, be sure to like, share. If you're new, subscribe to Patreon for Patreon-backed projects and early access. I'm Sancho, and I'm out.